Hi everybody, it's Matt and I've got a new series now coming to you, which is a Q&A series. I've been getting a lot of questions from people that are quite hard to explain just by typing to people, and I'm quite busy as well, so I haven't really had time to go through them. So these are from the last couple of weeks. Sorry if you've asked me a question and I haven't had a chance to reply. I tried to reply to as many as possible, but for these to take a little bit more explanation, I've just been saving them to doing videos. So any questions you've got, they don't have to be about Excel, it can be about any programming language or just about anything in general. I'm happy to ask questions about kind of careers and things like that as well. But yeah, chat me any questions you want and I'll stick them in these Q&A videos. So let's get started. I've just got 3 questions. The first one is from Katie Reed. And so she asks, say I have 2 columns in Excel filled with lists of different letter and number combinations. Some of the combinations in the first column match some of the in the second column. Is there any way to write a code that will find these matching combinations and put them into a third column for me to see without extracting them from the first 2 columns? Now, you say code, I probably wouldn't use code for this because it's very quick to do. If you did want to do it with codes, you'd just use a loop to go through the one column and then put a loop nested inside that loop. I'll put a link to the nested loop tutorial I've got, and then that would just go through the one series of data, check through each of the other ones, and then if it's right, you can put it in your new list. But I wouldn't use VBA for this because you can do it quite simply with formulas. So here I have a list of people, and they have their requested pie filling, and then over here I have a list of the actual pie fillings available, and then if we come over here, we have got the requested pies and the people as well. Let's just put the name over there as well so we can show who gets a pie and what they requested. So there's a couple of different ways I do this. First one is an if statement with a COUNTIF formula. And the COUNTIF formula just checks the second column and says whether or not and counts how many times that is available. If it's greater than 0, then it knows it's available. If it is 0, which means it's not in this list, it says unavailable with the if statement. So this just gives you a list then of available and unavailable, and you can select them as you want, so you can see all the available ones here. And similarly, you can do the same from the unavailable. Another one that I use is with a VLOOKUP. So I just do is error VLOOKUP, and I do a VLOOKUP of the data against this data, and it will just do the same thing. It will say true or false based on whether the VLOOKUP returns or not. So you'll see it returns false when it's able to find it. It matches up with the availables. So here we can just select all the available. We can see exactly who is going there, copy and paste that over here, and then we're done. And if we take off our search filter here, you'll see that we've got everyone showing now that it has a successful pie, and also shows which ones match. I'd probably use these matching formulas rather than doing any complicated code, because otherwise it's probably like you're over engineering it a little bit. And if you want to be matching things up that are in 2 different tables, then probably look at ADO and SQL with a database, because that's how you really want to be doing your indexes for data and stuff. So yeah, I hope that helps. If not, then just let me know. And let's move on to the second question. So the second question is from Darren Zhu, and he asks, and this is in relation to one of my videos on arrays, is there a difference between A, what you had done in the video, storing the desired values in an array first, and then passing them onto the spreadsheet with another loop, and B, storing the values straight in the correct cells on the spreadsheet with one loop? Now, in this particular instance, there's actually not, and it's the example I gave for using an array, and I haven't got an example for this because it's already in the video, but the example I gave was just to show you how an array works. But in that instance, you could probably just stick it straight into the spreadsheet. The advantages of arrays are that you can return them to someone. So there's a few formulas already exist that return formulas to you. So there's the split formulas, there's the records set objects. They return back you arrays of values. So lots of code returns values to you as arrays. And if you're sending data from your code to your code, it's a lot quicker to do it with arrays than it is to pass it into your spreadsheet, and then back out of your spreadsheet again. So in answer to your question, the difference is it would actually be faster in that example to put it straight into the spreadsheet, but the point of the example was just to show you how to arrays work. It wasn't to show you the most efficient way of using them. So just bear that in mind, and hopefully you've gone on to the future tutorials already where you can see that how useful the arrays are in some of the different things. So thanks for your question. The next question from R Singh, and he asks, what are, or she, don't actually know, what are the benefits of normalization? Now, normalization, for those of you who don't know, is the process of taking a database and kind of maximizing its efficiency. You take a table and you cut bits out of it and put it in a separate table and then link it all together with references. If you want to look at that, watch my video on how to do normalization. What are the advantages of it? So I've got a very simple example here. So I've got a table here which would be an unnormalized database, and you see for each sale record I'm storing the customer ID, name, city, join date, sale date and sale value. Now to normalize it, we do it in option 2. So we'd have just the customer ID, the sale date, the sale value, and then whenever we wanted this information over here, we'd just cross-reference it with the customer ID. Now, the main benefit of this is if we actually highlight here, and we see this is 60 records of data, and if we highlight this over here, this is 38 pieces of data. So all this data here, all this bit, this kind of 24 or odd here, this is all wasted storage. You don't actually need to store this data over and over again. It only needs to be stored once in your database because it's not going to change in between each record. So that's why we push it out into another table. And if you have a particularly complex database and you've got kind of first normalization, second normalization, third normalization, blah, 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 keep going and going and going and going and going, then that kind of expands exponentially and you get a database in a fully normalized format is going to be possibly thousands of times quicker and thousands of times smaller because it's not storing as much data and then it's not therefore searching for as much data. So hopefully that answers your question. It's just always the way I like to vision it is look, just spread it out like this. Look how much less data is being stored. You've got just from this very simple one customer and like 9 sales, and I'm already saving myself 22 records of pieces of information. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. That's it for this week's Q&A. I'll probably do one in about another week's time after you guys have sent in some more questions, so keep them coming. I like answering them. It's just I'm quite busy so I don't get around to it straight away, but please keep throwing them in. And thanks for listening. Please subscribe.